My grandma was a singer. She was a jazz singer. You know, she liked Dinah Washington. She really liked Ella Fitzgerald, you know. And she really liked Rod Stewart. For some reason, she was a big Rod Stewart fan.
That was not the third name I was expecting.
Yeah, she's always telling me, like to this day, she's always tells me that I should be more like Rod Stewart. I'm not sure exactly what it is about Rod that turns her on, or, you know, but you can't define these things, you know, they just are. Some people hear Rod Stewart and they're like, fuck, that's the shit, you know?
Check 1, 2. Hello, 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 hello.
You are listening to Running the Voodoo Down on BAMM.FM.
Muddy Waters, Bill Withers, Chuck Berry, Chris Kenner, Huey Piano Smith, Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, Sam Cooke, Al Green.
If you listen to certain genres of music, just hearing that list of names will make you feel like you've been wrapped in a warm blanket. And if you're listening to this show, it means you care enough about music that if it's not on that list, there's another list somewhere that will do the same thing. Invoking certain people, traditions, songs, it brings us to a certain place, a certain state of mind. I'm Micah Dubroy, and on today's episode of Running the Voodoo Down, we look into the mindset of someone who wraps himself deep in that blanket and makes it his home. It's a little bit of history, a little bit of love and community. We're calling this episode The Blues and the Abstract Truth.
Quinn DeVeaux, and I play guitar. Yeah, I sing as well, yeah. Yes.
I've had the pleasure of playing with Quinn, starting with some touring around the American Northwest last summer. And what I found interesting about Quinn and his band, the Bluebeat Review, is that they really live in this music, listening to it constantly, thoroughly, really loving it without any kind of hipster irony. But they're caught in the middle, to a certain extent, between the past and living in the present. And I thought this would be an interesting question to run down. I wanted to start by talking about the music itself, trying to define what it is. It's a specific sound, but in reality it's inherited from a pretty broad array of traditions. And when you're that close to it, it's really hard to pick apart all those strands of history and make sense of the whole picture. You're in too deep. This is a pretty common phenomenon with bands, and I asked Quinn what he called his music.
Yeah, man, I don't know. We're still trying to figure out what that is. You know, I call it's Bluebeat. You know, it's Bluebeat music. It's something that we're making up as we go. But it's certainly gospel and blues and soul and sort of, I guess, New Orleans R&B. And, you know, those are the main things, but also, you know, country.
Cairo McCochran, a young drummer who sometimes plays with Quinn, had this to say about the music from his perspective behind the kit.
It's a lot of shuffles, a lot of really, really just solid in the pocket shuffles, you know, closed hi-hat, just you know, just thrashing, and a lot of two beats. Gospel two beats are, you know, I mean, it's shout music, you know. When Quinn wants you to shout, you shout.
And shout they do. It's high energy, good time music, and people seem to recognize that pretty easily. But it's very much planted in the past. And I asked Quinn why that is.
People can say what they want, but it's the best music. You know, it just is, like the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, and that was it. You know, the rest of this shit is just, you know, it's good, it's fine. But like after that, you know, nothing really has happened. So, so no, I'm not trying to like be some 50s guy. I just admire the music. There's a lot of, you know, much ado about nothing. Particularly these days, you know. I mean, you know, there's stuff that I like for sure. But I mean, you know, like I was listening to Aretha Franklin in the car, you know, there's just, I mean, you know, yeah, I listen to other stuff, but she's the best. She always will be.
I've always wondered about bands that take root in a very specific time or place, and I asked Quinn if he wished he had been born earlier or if he felt he belonged somewhere else.
I mean, yeah, I don't think so. I think, there's some people that you meet them and you feel like they're from another time, like they literally don't belong here, and I love that. I love meeting those people. But no, I don't feel like I'm like that. I don't know where I'm from or where I'm going.
That being said, Quinn had a pretty good idea of what he thought counted, what the point of it all was.
Like when people are able to get at the heart, reach in, like Temple of Doom, just grab the heart and take it out. That's what you're looking for. And, there's a few guys that can do that. That's what I'm trying to do. There's not that many notes and chords and everything, but there's an infinite way of connecting them. That's what keeps it interesting.
Quinn's band members expressed a similar passion for the music, not feeling nostalgic so much as just following their hearts.
Hey, my name is Kenan O'Brien, and I play the bass. There's definitely a scene of throwback bands, but I never felt that we were like a vintage band trying to do vintage music, but I just feel like that we're all doing the music we love, and to us, doing something that sounds like it's from the 50s or 60s still feels fresh to us because that's what we listen to and that's the music we love. And so it's not like we're striving to be of a certain era and like put on a hat and be from the 50s, but rather I feel like we're all just being ourselves and playing the music we like.
We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be back very soon, and we'll hear more from the band about what it takes to really embrace a music from another era.
You liking running the Voodoo Down? Yeah, me too. We got many other podcasts too that you can check out at BAMM.TV, and probably the best place to go right now is Facebook. So everyone knows how to get to Facebook, and then you just type in BAMM.TV and you'll see our page and you'll get all the updates from all of our shows and check out all the videos and concert updates. Pretty dang good resource. All right, that's enough of me. Let's get back to the show.
Welcome back. I'm Micah Dubroy, and this is Running the Voodoo Down. We're speaking with Quinn DeVeaux and the Bluebeat Review about their music and how they connect to a sound that's so distinct and distant in time. I'm going to speak now with Chris Siebert, the elder statesman of the band and a phenomenal keyboardist, and get his thoughts on how he approaches this tradition of music.
I look at it linguistically. I always like languages. I speak French and I lived in France for a year. And I'm always kind of looking at the different accents of all these different styles. And so even within a style, what's the difference between barrel house blues and boogie woogie, Chicago blues, New Orleans blues, all that Texas blues, It's about culture, right? Somebody who grew up like a Japanese person, if they grew up in a French neighborhood, would be culturally French, and they would speak the French language without an accent and vice versa. So if you don't grow up within a certain culture, like all of us white people who are trying to play black music, I think we have to come to it with a reverential and respectful attitude. And I think it's like, I'm always shocked when I meet a conservative jazz or blues musician. I'm like, do you understand this or this country? Do you understand the pain that this came from? Do you have a passion for the civil rights movement? Have you studied the civil rights movement? I don't separate it all out. It comes from a culture. And that black American culture is one of the greatest gifts to the world in world cultural history. And it's not as appreciated at home as it should be. It's appreciated abroad, oftentimes much more. But I try to come to the stuff in the beginning with a reverential and respectful attitude. I've had very good fortune in my life. I'm a very lucky person that I've hung around a lot of older black musicians who have been kind enough to teach me and do a lot of slapping in the wrist. I've been scolded a lot in my life, and I feel that respect is the biggest thing, right? So that's the key to it.
I asked Quinn, as a black musician playing quintessential black American music, what he thought about the state of that music today.
Like, I would love to have an all-black band. And the reason being is because, I mean, the thing is that black people don't play this music anymore, for the most part, you know what I'm saying? You don't see young black kids growing up playing blues piano now, you know? No, they're, you know, whatever, they're doing something else.
Things are definitely changing in America because a lot of the cultural institutions that were around from where this stuff came up with are not as around as much. You know, so music clubs in cities where people can go and hear the music, places where people can jam after hours. You know, where you find a lot of the spirit of the jazz and blues music of the past still alive is actually in churches. You can go into any area with an African American community and find badass, wonderful musicians who nobody else knows about in the rest of the music scene.
I asked around Quinn's band, and sure enough, there was quite a bit of history in the church.
I'm Asati, and I am a vocalist doing backup. I'm a shoo-wop girl. My father is a minister, so from the time that, my parents heard that I could hold a note, my dad was like, yep, in the choir, now, get up there. And then, they would wake me up in the middle of the night with my footy pajamas, and they're like, come out here and sing for us, entertain us. Yes, I was their young jester.
My one grandma was Jehovah's Witness, and then my other grandma was Baptist. So I would go to both, and they both, music is a big part of both, ceremonies. And so, yeah, we sang quite a bit back in the day. And but I didn't sing it outside of church or anything.
History and identity can make a big difference for a musician and their audience, sometimes by choice, sometimes not.
There's a thing where people see you and they expect a certain thing from you. And there's an extent, there's to some extent you can go beyond that. You can not do that. I mean, there's some great black rock bands but to the extent that people see you and they get what they expect, that's sort of the thing that I deal with. Like our band, we're moving in more of a soul direction. Partly, I love what I consider, soul music, but some of it is just that people think we're doing that anyways. It doesn't matter. I can play a Muddy Waters song and people will call it soul music because that's just what they think it is. To an extent, I feel pressure to sort of do that in a way because I'm putting out 2 records. I'm putting out the Bluebeat review record and my solo record, which is completely, it's singer-songwriter shit. It's like just songs that I wrote. Like a dude and a guitar. So it's not a traditional style at all. So and I feel like the Bluebeat review is more accepted because it's more, to some extent, I think it's more what people are expecting when they see me. It's just what it is, man. I don't give a shit. I just want to make good music. I don't care what people call it. Living so close to the bone right now, but I know my time is coming. And I want to know that who was down way back when I had nothing. How many teardrops, child, does it take?
I asked pianist Chris Siebert about his approach to making this music. What do you think what it takes to make this style of music work right? What takes it from we're trying to play this to we are playing this?
In this type of music, as opposed to classical where it's already pretty much on the page and there's interpretation, I feel like, and that's what used to happen all the time, when you went on tour with Ray Charles for a year, you can bet that all kinds of things developed over that year, so the band was just cracking after a certain amount of time compared to when they first played the tune. Not that they didn't play it great in the beginning.
It's like, you take pieces of the song, obviously you can't be Ray, but you take the important things to you and you bring it out. When I write, that's what I try and do too. I always worry about comedians, I mean, comedians have to write their own shit from the first day. That's crazy. That's crazy, you know? I mean, we're so lucky we're musicians. We can cover shit for years. You don't ever have to write a song, and you can still be a working musician. But, you know, like comedians and, you know, writers, like they can't fucking pick somebody else's shit up, you know? So, you know, we're lucky. And so it's great to be able to get behind some of these songs that you love and figure out how they did those things to some extent. But that time is gone. That time is past for me. Yeah, I'm over it. You know, I just want to write my own stuff. I don't think anyone knows the difference between my song and like a Chris Kenner song or a Chuck Berry song. I mean, you know, people have heard of Chuck Berry, but I'm not saying I'm as good of a writer, but I'm saying that people just don't know the tunes. You know, they're like, oh, is that your, like people always ask me, is that your tune? And I'm playing like Sweet Little 16, or I'm playing Something You Got, or I'm playing like all these songs that to me seem obvious, but people just, you know, there's so much going on right now that people just they have no idea what happened, you know, back in the day. You know, if they're not into it, then they're not hip. So my wanting to play my own tunes is just that I just have all these tunes, and I just, you know, I think that they're my kids, man. They're my kids, and I want to raise them. I want to send them off to college. You know, I want them to get a good education, and I want them to become executives, or I mean, they can do what they want, really. Like if they want to just like get married or whatever and just have kids of their own. Like I don't really, you know, I just want them to like grow up and be like adults, you know, and be like responsible for themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just trying to, like, they're potty trained, they're paying rent. I have low aspirations, but you know, I just have a lot of kids, you know, so I just want to, so I got to get them out of the house, man. It's too much. I got to get them out of the house. This is my house.
Okay, we're rolling again.
Little gospel piano intro type of thing.
Well, that's our show. Thank you for listening. I'd like to also thank Quinn DeVeaux and the members of the Bluebeat Review who spoke with me, Chris Siebert, Kenan O'Brien, Cairo McCochran, Matthew McGillivray, and Asati Tayimba Ford. All the music you heard today was from Quinn and the Bluebeat Review. You can find more of their music at QuinnDeVeaux.com. That's QuinnDeveaux.com. Please check them out on the internet or in real life. I promise you won't be disappointed. And please reach out to us too if you liked the show or if you didn't like the show. We're interested in your feedback. So, and whether that's on iTunes or on the blog, we're really interested in your thoughts. I'm Micah Dubroy, and this has been Running the Voodoo Down on BAMM FM.